Lizzie Garrett Mettler has spent her career exploring the intersection of identity, culture, and things we wear. She's examined how clothing isn't just fashion, it's a reflection of who we are, where we've been, and what we value. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, The Atlantic, Vogue, and many other leading publications, and she's become a thoughtful voice on how style, history, and American culture shape one another. Today, we're going to explore what heritage brands like Carhartt, Champion, and New Era tell us about America, why some brands endure for generations while others disappear, and what our favorite products reveal about ourselves. Now you can find Lizzie on her Substack, writing under LGM Projects. Today, she's with me, Jay Sapp, chatting on the Great American Summer. Please welcome Lizzie Garrett Mettler. Great to have you with me today, Lizzie.
It's great to be here, Jay.
So, but just your backstory. How did you come to start writing about fashion? How did you start to get into cultural trends? Like, where did this interest come from?
It's a long story and a long journey, but I started as a journalist right out of college, and I worked for Bon Appetit magazine, which is a classic food magazine of yore now, and moved on to the LA Times, wrote about style, wrote about interior design. I've kind of had every beat that hits lifestyle subjects. None of it was holding the government accountable, but through those years and now decades, I've learned a lot about culture and style and what people are into and trends and those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean that's was Bon Appetit Condé Nast? Was that a
It is.
part
It
of that
still is.
family? Yeah.
Absolutely.
God, are you a foodie?
I'm a yeah, I would say decent foodie. I have friends that are much more extreme than I am, and I wish I was
Yeah.
at that level. But yeah, I cook dinner a lot, and I go to the farmers markets and those kind of things.
But let's talk about, so we're here to talk about American style and the concept of the Great American Summer. When I introduced it to you, and I've talked about it, is there's all these incredible companies that sell in the promo space where companies can put their brands on brands. And so many of them have these deep rooted history in America and made in America. If you sort of had to explain American style and the brands and products, like who would you point to and why?
I would point to a few. I think it's hard to compete with Levi's. I think in terms of their brand health and how much they represent America and Americana, they are it. They've been around for over 150 years. They represent the idea of, I think the West, the Wild West, cowboy spirit. And I think that speaks to a global brand of how America is perceived, or at least was pre-internet. And I think there's other great brands out there like LL Bean and Filson and Pendleton, and Red Wing and Carhartt. But Levi's is an international brand that represents the country in a way that I don't think any other brand can compete with.
What do you think the pillars are that make a brand, iconic?
In my opinion, I think utility comes first. It's always a form follows function. And Levi's has been successful with that because they represented sort of workwear and jeans and, what was called dungarees. And anything that is based on, I think, an American worker, working either as a carpenter or construction worker, if you're wearing Carhartt, or American leisure, fishing, sporting, all those items that helps you do that job or completes that goal is going to be an item that will then become stylish. I think fashion then borrows from these subcultures and creates almost like a costume, but the utility always will come first. And I think that is what makes an iconic brand.
Yeah, I mean, does fashion move faster with the internet now, or is fashion still
Of
fashion?
course. Of
I
course. I
mean,
think it moves extremely fast now. I think, the way that we process information is, completely unlike the way that we processed information in terms of fashion trends before the internet. I think, I wrote a piece about sock trends recently, and sock trends, like the length of socks, used to have a run for sometimes 20 years, like bobby socks in the 40s and 50s, tube socks in the 70s and 80s. Now, sock trends are micro trends. It's like ankle, and then it's a little bit slouchy, and then it's a little bit mid calf, and now we're back to ankle again. And it's completely, that happened over a period of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, so, we hear these words when we're talking about iconic brands of, heritage brands and
Mhm.
then nostalgia. What can you help separate the difference between heritage and nostalgia?
I can try. Heritage is about a brand's history, and it's about mining from that rich history if they have it. Nostalgia to me is about missing something that's gone now. So it's about memories. I'm nostalgic for the 90s. I was a 90s kid. And so there's brands that I feel nostalgic for because I miss those times. So brands like Stussy, which is still around and still really popular, that I think they will become a iconic brand in the future, or a classic. I think they already kind of are there. Patagonia is another one that I think will become, a classic brand that we look back
Yeah.
on as surviving multi generations. But yeah, heritage is about sort of a history. And I think, again, to go back to Carhartt and Levi's, they have that rich history that makes them be able to call themselves an American heritage brand.
How long do you think it takes for a company to be considered iconic? I mean, just the Patagonia is a 60s company, right? They're coming up, or early 70s. They're coming up on 50, maybe 60 years.
I think that's right. I think it just has to span, multiple generations. So it's a brand that, your
So it's not
parents knew
decades,
about.
it's not decades, it's generations.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. That's interesting, right? Because I think I shared with you, like we've talked to folks from Cross Penn, which is the 1800s, and Zippo,
Hmm.
and we're going to be featuring Igloo, right? Which is Igloo is like 70, 75 years. I mean,
Wow.
it's just crazy, and those are generations, especially when you look back at the original designs
Hmm.
and conceptualizing those. I mean, some of the things that got designed 75, 80, 100 years ago have stood the test of time, and others have had to completely transition their the way they operate. I mean, the Zippo lighter hasn't changed.
Right. And the Igloo cooler, my parents still have one from the 80s that, hinges and opens.
The
And
Playmate.
yeah, the Playmate, it has not, like, it's not broken. They still use it. The design is solid. The manufacturing is solid, and they've had it for probably 40 years.
So we're here to talk about clothes. We're not here to talk about coolers. But
I'll talk about
specific.
coolers all day.
Well, here specifically in the promo space, we deal with three brands that I like come to mind immediately when I think about great iconic American brands. I'd love you to comment on each of them. So let me just bring them up one by one, and I'd love to get your thoughts. So first is Carhartt.
Hmm. I love Carhartt. Carhartt is, when I was in high school, the boys in my high school wore those double duck work pants. Is that what they're called? The canvas duck, the duck canvas work pants in that goldy brown color. And they last forever. And what I love about Carhartt is you can buy a pair of Carhartt pants, those work pants, for probably $70, well under 100. Or you can buy a Ralph Lauren designer version that are pre-distressed for $400. And every time, the authentic version, the Carhartt version, is going to be seen as cooler than the person that buys the knockoff for 5 times the price. So I think Carhartt has this power of authenticity, as you put it, because they are worn by carpenters and construction workers as much as they are worn by cool teenagers. So that will always be an unbeatable combination.
That's great. We'll come back to your first take on Carhartt shortly, but the next brand is Buffalo based. They might have just passed 100 years. I think it's like 1920 is when they were founded. Um, I feel like they've been revitalized. New era.
Yeah, new era. I didn't realize they were that old, and I didn't know they were from Buffalo either. Um, I love a baseball cap because it's your personal brand billboard. It's your sports team, it's your town, it's your schools, it's your slogan, it's your favorite coffee shop. So hats are always going to be a way to express your identity very simply, and they're functional because they keep the sun out of your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like MTV facilitated the explosion of the baseball hat as a fashion piece.
Hmm.
That's sort of my amateur fashion take on it.
It's probably right, like hip hop in the mid '90s or earlier, even probably.
Right. I mean, right. No one thought Chuck D was a Pittsburgh Pirates fan.
Right. Yeah, and people just sort of swapped out any team they wanted. There
Yeah,
was
but
that
that
era.
became
Yeah.
right. But I mean, that became like that. You know, that Pittsburgh Pirates hat became synonymous with that hip hop and that. You know, talk about being a
Right.
kid of the '90s. I mean, it became synonymous with it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I wore Raiders stuff in the '90s, and I had no kind of regional ties at the time to the LA Raiders, but that was a very cool kind of like sports brand.
and then sort of the third company that we offer a lot of. They feel like, and this company feels like they were dead
Hmm.
and they were kind of brought back to life, and that's Champion.
Yeah, Champion is really cool. I live in LA and I live very close to La Brea, which is a fashion street. There's, lines outside of Stussy all the time. And Champion, I think, had a store there or it does have a store there. And it also has that similar, like, people are lining up for special edition drops there, like teenagers. There's something going on with teenagers. I'm a 43-year-old mom of two, so I'm not going to pretend that I'm an arbiter of cool anymore. But, like, there's something going on with Champion and kids are into it again in a really profound way.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I mean, you talk about being a mama too, and you're a fashion expert and trend expert, but like vintage stores are everything right now.
Yeah. Vintage is if you had to cite one big fashion trend of this year, I think it's thrifting. It's people are looking for, because of social media and because of the way that we're all getting the same information, people want unique things and they want well-made things, and I think a lot of, investing in product comes into like a feeling of the economy being, in distress, and when that happens, people want to invest in things they know are going to last, and vintage is a really safe buy because we already know it stood the test of time. So thrifting, there's all these substacks out there about how to thrift eBay, how to thrift, Etsy, and like what to look for and what the search terms are. But yeah, I think vintage is a big, big deal.
This is Jay Sapovitz for Great American Summer, and let me tell you about one of my favorite brands, okay? This is New Era, right? Everybody knows New Era. They know the shiny logo, right? Today I'm celebrating one of our clients who had a great funding event, Underdog, awesome. They wear New Era. They wear New Era because they know that it's the brand that the pros use, and it's an awesome hat. Beautiful. This is a beautiful trucker cap from New Era. They've got tons of different styles. And yeah, Buffalo, New York, 1920s. It's the brand the pros wear. New Era, product of the week. It's this trucker cap, and we'll have a few caps for you. Check it out on inkstores.com. And way to go, Underdog. You have a Substack. It's LGM Projects, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how do you choose what to? I mean, you're completely free to write whatever you choose, right? Like, how do you
It's
decide what you're going
wonderful.
to write about?
Yeah, I started this Substack a year ago, and I had just come off of a project that sort of ended abruptly, and I didn't even know what I was going to do with it. I just wanted to have a space to sort of talk about freelance projects I was working on or what I was writing, and so I didn't give it a really specific name. And I think that was a blessing, and I just write about kind of whatever comes into my frame, and it's been really fun. And I write about everything from tube sock trends to I just wrote about the texture of glass patio tables of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, it's very niche. It's not for everyone, but I have a lot of fun with it for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's one of the it's a Substack that when you find it and it is for you, you're not going to find anything else like it. I was fortunate to be able before you came on to read a few of the articles, and I mean, your writing is exquisite. I mean, it really
Thank
is
you so
just.
much.
I appreciate upscale and smart writing. All right, well, Lizzie Garrett Mettler is my guest. She's a fashion and trend expert. We're talking about the Great American Summer and some iconic brands that we offer in the promotional marketing space. Um, we talked earlier about the internet. What and the trends just go so fast now, right?
Hmm.
In this world, how do classic brands continue to like evolve and matter?
I think that that classic phrase, "The kids are all right." I think the teens are interested in history, believe it or not. I think that they wanna know what's cool and they wanna investigate some of, these things, and 90s fashion is so big right now, and, like, I have a 15-year-old niece, and she just wants to watch all the 90s movies right now, and she wants to, like, understand the core behind it, not just be like, "Oh, my friends are wearing this, so I'm gonna wear this." I think they actually are supplied with so much information that they are interested in, like, figuring out why that information is important as much as just consuming it. Now, like, they're experiencing trends in life in a way that we can't relate to in many ways. The teenagers of today are native to social media, not just the internet, but they're native to social media. They grew up with social media. So it's hard to even understand what that feels like. Um, but I think that heritage brands can survive because they know who they are, and it's this, we're always going to be talking about the same thing. They're authentic. If a brand is trying to meet someone where they're at instead of just chase a trend, they're always going to be successful if they believe in their product. And it's not just about making money. I know, companies need to make money, but if there is real authenticity and real passion for creating the products that they believe that, are core to their business, I think that's a winning combination. If I had the real answer to this, I'd be a billionaire, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we're talking about Carhartt and Champion and New Era. I mean, like New Era is on every baseball player. I mean, they're making caps. I mean, nothing gets more authentic for a baseball cap than being on a Major League Baseball player.
Right. That's exactly right. So they're seeing, and America is such a sports obsessed culture, and we like to dress like our heroes, and our heroes are very often athletes. So what a great, for New Era to have their hats on Major League Baseball players, like what's a better advertisement than that?
Yeah, and I often say, like, people ask me how AI is influencing the promotional marketing space. I don't know how much interest or knowledge you have about what it is I do, which is put logos on items and
No,
decoration and design and yeah.
I've used Inked before. I love making, products for my friends. Like, we go on trips and we'll make sweatshirts or whatever it is. Like, I think it's a fabulous thing that you can make custom clothes that are really specific to what you're doing and have that be like a, connective tissue of your family or your friends. I think it's the best. I love it.
I appreciate that. But like brand is like so relevant right now. People ask me about AI all the time. And the biggest way I think AI is influencing the decoration business and even the fashion industry, in some ways, and again, I'm looking for your reaction as an expert, is you don't know what's real. You turn on like this clip that I'm producing right now with you or Lizzie, you
Hmm.
speaking. I could I could just clone that 100 times and shape it in 100 different ways, or make or you've seen clips of different people online doing things and you're like, that didn't happen. It's AI because it's so far fetched. To me, that's where that longing for being grounded and authenticity really comes in. It's like, I know that my plumber and carpenter wear Carhartt. I want to wear Carhartt because I can connect to the fact that it's real. And
Yep.
AI has made everything not real.
Yes. I think you've hit on something really, really smart and profound, in that we as humans are going to be longing and searching for humanity and for realness and for errors and mistakes and imperfection, because everything is going to be kind of smoothed out into this realm of unreal perfection. And I think it's already starting to happen. I think people in fashion and in brands are already, like, it's already getting smaller. We're looking for, like, what's real, what was made by even a human. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out with AI across every industry. But yeah, I can already feel that backlash starting.
Are there any young, I mean, this gets away a little bit from the promo space. They may not be in it, but there are any young brands that you've got your eye on that you say to yourself, boy, I could see them becoming a 100-year brand in America.
Yeah, Buck Mason is a great brand. I wrote a story about kind of like a West Coast East Coast personality test, and where we have J Press on the East, we have Buck Mason on the West. It's this West Coast prep brand. Yeah, I think Buck Mason actually is a really great, example, I didn't realize how young they were because which is a good sign for them. It makes me feel like they're a bit older than they are.
They feel
Um,
older than they are. They
yeah, I
feel
could
like they're 40 or 50 years old.
absolutely. Yeah, they feel like a J. Crew. Yeah, I think that they really have a handle on their brand. They're from everything from their fonts to when you walk into a Buck Mason store, there's usually like a vintage car in there, so it feels like you're at a one of a kind place, even though it's a chain. They have, record players and like a bar and Santo burning. So they've really kind of mastered the experience too of walking in that store. And they sell their own line, but they also sell, Alden shoes and, Bass penny loafers. So they've really integrated a brand, vision really successfully.
I hope you don't mind. I'm going to go off topic a little here. Where do you fall on the athleisure phenomena of the last? I mean, it's only really the last 10 years, isn't it? I mean, it starts
Yeah.
like Lulu and
Hmm.
Vori and
Yeah.
Aloe.
Yeah. I think, Chloe Sevigny talked about how New York has been infiltrated by leggings and she hates that. And I think that's a really, really funny take. And she's not wrong. It really like serves a purpose, obviously. Like again, I'm kind of like that core group. I'm a millennial, I'm an elder millennial mother. So like, do I wear leggings sometimes? Yes.
Hmm.
Um, am I aware that like I wish I wasn't wearing them? I'm wearing jeans right now, thank God. But yeah, it's definitely taken over. It's become people put on leggings or they put on athleisure just to go to the grocery store when we would have been wearing jeans, I think, 10 years ago. Um, I tend to side with Chloe Sevigny on this one, but I'm also very guilty of it myself.
Yeah. I mean, comfort matters, right?
Absolutely matters. I mean, it's the wicking, my kids wear a uniform to school and they really like the sport wicking, not the cotton, it's just like we've become very tech we love our tech fabrics. I think cotton t-shirts might be going the way of the dodo.
I mean, Lizzie, this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. You are, you're witty and smart and have a real handle on trends and fashion. Um, it's, I can tell you in the promo space that our number one driver for us as a company when we talk to clients is brand, and we tend to be brand centric and brand first because people have a reaction and a feeling towards brand, whereas if it's a blanks, they don't.
Yep. Well, I mean, thanks for having me. It's always fun to discuss trends and brands and trying to figure out what young people are into, but I love making a custom product because it's kind of a way for a average Joe to create their own brand in a way that a label creates a fashion line. You can, put something on a t-shirt or a hat or whatever and create something. Like that's something that, generation ago you couldn't really do without a huge amount of effort. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you
Well,
guys are
but
around.
it's also a way for brands to express who they are by marrying their company's brand with other brands, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean, companies who choose to put their brand on Carhartt are making a different statement than companies who don't.
you're right. Like a Patagonia vest has become a symbol of, finance bro, which is, hilarious because it started as this very crunchy granola brand. I'm actually writing a story right now. I'm researching for Airmail about how Grateful Dead iconography has become dominant in the like country club golf space and sort
What?
of like yeah, so there's the most counterculture, band of all time that sort of represented drug culture in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s has now become very symbolic of country clubs. You can get, needlepoint belts from Smathers and Branson with the dancing bears on them or the Steal Your Face skull. Malbon Golf has a Grateful Dead capsule.
They do?
Vineyard Vines has a Grateful Dead capsule. So obviously there's some savvy licensing going on. Sims Fishing has a Grateful Dead collection, and it's sort of like what is happening here, like what this has become a symbol of now, like male leisure class. um Completely different vibe than the start of that brand.
You're right, though. That's licensing. That's
Yeah,
someone got a hold of the Grateful Dead brand and decided that they were going to license it.
Yeah, it's interesting why them though, because it's sort of like you could get a Beatle, you could do a Beatles golf shirt, you could do a Rolling Stones, you can do, like Rhino record. They'll license almost any classic rock brand, but
Yeah.
golfers and Grateful Dead, what's happening there? I don't know.
One thing will forever be true about aging, and that is, and it's the same with fashion and trends, is that we want, and why the old always becomes the new, right? I mean,
Yeah,
my kid's dressing like she's in the 80s and 90s and thinks she's
right.
original.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
in that people want to reconnect with their past.
Yeah, it's just nostalgia. That's all it is. So
And
all these
yeah,
golfers just want to go back on tour with the Dead, I guess. If they
so
maybe they never were on tour, but maybe they fancied themselves as that cool one time.
or want people to think that they were, for sure.
Yeah,
Awesome.
right.
Well, Lizzie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Jay.
much for joining me, and I can't wait to visit again. Thank you.
So much fun.